Hello, everyone. Our topic for today is all about arts and creative literacy. So, concept exploration. So, in these slides, in simple terms, it means that this passage emphasizes the importance of creativity in teaching and learning. Teachers must be innovative not just in how they present lessons, but in every aspect of education. The goal here is to help students develop their creative thinking skills through different teaching methods like engaging classroom activities and active student participation. So, to do this effectively, teachers need to have a deep understanding of creative literacy, which means they should be able to recognize, nurture, and assess creativity both in themselves and in their students. So by fostering creativity, teachers can help students think more critically, solve problems more effectively, and develop a more dynamic approach to learning. So next slide is arts and creative literacy. So it means that creativity is about generating unique, meaningful ideas by looking at things differently. It involves flexible thinking and the ability to switch mental gears quickly. Creative people can explore multiple perspectives and connective ideas in novel ways. This mental flexibility allows them to see beyond traditional patterns and develop innovative solutions to problems. So next slide is likewise creativity is the act of turning new and imaginative ideas into reality. So creativity is a powerful mental skill that goes beyond just having a good ideas. So it's about taking those ideas and turning them into something real and meaningful. So when someone is creative, they can look at the world differently, spot unique connections between things that seem unrelated and come up with innovative solutions to the problems. So, creativity, it says there that it involves two main steps. First is thinking of an original concept and then actually making that concept happen. It's like having a mental toolbox where you can mix different pieces of knowledge, experiences, and the inspiration to create something um, magical where you can take what you already know and transform it into something unique and exciting. So it requires passion, imagination, and the willingness to explore ideas that others might not see. So whether you are an artist, a student, mm, creativity is about seeing possibility where others see limitation and having the courage to bring those possibilities to life. So next slide is creativity begins with the foundation of knowledge, learning a discipline, and mastering a way of thinking. So it means that creativity is learnable skill that involves deep understanding, curiosity, and innovative thinking. No, it requires building knowledge, challenging assumptions, and using imagination to connect ideas in unique ways. So, by experimenting, asking questions, and being open to new perspectives, anyone can develop and enhance their creative abilities. So, next slide is the ability to generate creativity and innovative ideas is not merely a function of the mind, but also a function of five key behaviors that optimize brain for discovery. So, first, here it means that creativity involves making unexpected connections between different fields or concepts. Second, it means that asking bold questions that challenge traditional thinking. Third is creativity requires careful observing how people behave to discover new approaches. Fourth is it involves meeting and learning from people with diverse perspectives. And finally, Last is creativity is about experimenting and testing ideas to see what unexpected insights might emerge. So these behaviors help transform ordinary thinking into extraordinary problem solving, allowing individuals to see opportunities where others see obstacles. So by practicing these five approaches, anyone can develop a more creative and innovative mindset. So next slide. So developing literacies of the art and creativity involves design of physical learning environment, the emotional environment, scheduling, organization, and implementation of curriculum and instruction and attention to the body and the brain. So it means that to help students become skilled in the arts and creativity, teachers need to create the right kind of environment for learning. So this means that setting up physical spaces that inspire creativity, fostering a positive emotional atmosphere, and planning the school schedule and lessons properly. So teachers should always pay attention to how students' bodies and brains work best in the learning process. So to make this happen, it is important for the teachers to receive support from school leaders, parents, and the community. So, with this support, teachers can effectively nurture students' artistic skills and creative thinking. So, next slide is the seven habits of highly creative people. So, according to Nyman 2014, it suggests that following seven specific practices can help a person become very creative in their field. So, first is prepare the ground. So, to be creative, it's important to create a good environment for your mind. This means finding a quiet space where you can relax and focus without distraction. So, giving yourself enough time to think and feel inspired is also essential. When you are in this relaxed state, you'll be more open to new ideas and can enjoy the process of expressing your thoughts effectively or creatively. So, by preparing your mind and surroundings, you set the stage for better creativity. So, second is plant seeds for creativity. So, to boost creativity, focus on what you want to create instead of what's bothering you. So, by directing your thoughts and energy towards your goals, you set a clear intention for what you want to achieve. This positive mindset helps you generate new ideas and solutions, making it easier to reach your desired outcomes. So, in other words, think about planting seeds of creativity by nurturing good thoughts and intentions rather than dwelling on the problems. So, next slide is live in the question. It means that it is important to embrace uncertainty and curiosity rather than rushing to find answers. So, by asking questions, you engage deeply with a topic and encourage creative thinking. So, when you focus on the questions others ask, you can learn from the insights and the perspectives. So, in essence, it's about valuing the process of um, inquiry and the rich conversation that can arise from it. So rather than fixating on getting quick answers. So fourth is feed your brain. So to feed your brain, find topics or activities that interest you deeply, like a hobby, a subject, or skill. So by immersing yourself in these areas, you can gain valuable insights and wisdom. So the key is to look for links between different people, places, and ideas that may not seem related at first. So next is experiment and explore. So follow your curiosity, experiment with ideas, and learn from your mistakes. So therefore, the quality of your creativity will improve. So six is replenish your creative stock. So to keep your creativity alive, it is important to take care of yourself and feed your imagination. This means finding ways to relax and enjoy activities you love, like if you like painting, writing, or playing music. So by doing things that spark joy and ignite your passion, you can turn your hobbies and talents into something amazing. So next is liberate your creativity. So to unlock your creativity, look at your child plays. Children often express themselves freely and imagine without limits, which can inspire you to do the same. So their playful nature can remind you of the joy in creating and exploring new ideas. So allow yourself to be playful and open-minded, just like a child, and you may discover new ways to express your creativity. So next slide. Um, so in general, creativity can be found in many areas like business, arts, education, and science. When you express your creativity in these domains, you have the ability to make life indeed a work of art, according to Neiman 2011. Next is the eye-hand coordination. So in most of our creative activities and endeavors, we integrate eye-hand coordination as we inhibit our usual body functioning. So eye-hand coordination is the ability to use your eyes and hands together effectively. So it helps you do things like, for example, catching a ball, writing, or playing video games because your eyes guide your hands to perform tasks accurately. So this coordination is important for many daily activities, from simple ones like pouring a drink to more complex actions like playing a musical instrument. So without good eye-hand coordination, many everyday tasks would be very difficult to accomplish. So next is it means here is eye-hand coordination, no, is how well our eyes and hands work together. So this skill combines what we see with our hand movements, helping us perform actions smoothly and accurately. So when we look at an object, our eyes gather information and our hands use that information to move correctly. So this ability is very important for many everyday activities as it let us interact with our surroundings effectively. So hand-eye coordination is important for child development and academic success. So it plays a crucial role in how children develop and learn in school. So having a good hand-eye coordination, it allows kids to do everyday tasks. Now, in adults, this skill remains important as it needed for countless activities, now, such as driving, cooking, and typing. So, by developing strong hand-eye coordination, people can be better respond to their surroundings and improve their ability to perform various tasks accurately and efficiently. So, when we use our eyes to direct attention to a stimulus and help the brain understand where the body is located in space, self-perception. So it means that our eyes help us focus on things around us, which allows our brain to understand where we are in our environment. So this is important for knowing our position and movement. So at the same time, our hands work together with our eyes to perform tasks. So another example of this is when we see something we want to grab, our hands move toward it based on what our eyes tells us. So this teamwork between our eyes and hands is called eye-hand coordination and help us interact effectively with the world. So these are the examples of eye-hand coordination. So first is in writing. So when we write, our eyes look at the paper to see what we are doing. So and they send this information to our brain. So this helps our brain know where is and if we our writing can be read easily, if our writing can be read easily. So the brain processes this visual information to guide our hand movements, ensuring we stay on the line and maintain neat handwriting. So in simple terms, our eyes and brain work together to help us write clearly and accurately. So second is typing a keyboard. So when we type on a keyboard, our hands move in specific ways to hit the right keys. So, even though our fingers may move differently, our eyes play a crucial role in this process. They help us see the keyboard and the screen, allowing our brain to understand where our hands should go. So, if we make a mistake, our eyes quickly spot it, and our brain tells us our hands to correct it. So, in simple terms, our eyes and brain work together to help us type accurately. So next is when driving. So when you drive or when we drive, our eyes help uh, us see where the car is on the road. So this visual information tells your hands how to turn the steering wheel to keep the car centered in the lane. So by paying attention to other cars and road signs, you can also avoid accidents. So essentially, your eyesight guides your movement to ensure a safe and smooth drive. So next is in sports. So in sports, the ability to coordinate what we see with how we move our bodies is important. And this is known as a motor coordination. So this means that our eyes help guide our hands or feet to perform actions accurately. So for example is in basketball. So players mainly use hand-eye coordination to catch the ball. So conversely, in sports like soccer or track or athletes rely more on foot-eye coordination to control the ball or run effectively. So each sports emphasizes different types of coordination based on the movements required, making the skills essential for success in the athletic performance. So problems and disorders related to poor eye-hand coordination. Hand-eye coordination can also work poorly if even if the person's eyes and vision are not affected and if their motor control skills work properly. So it means that problems with this coordination can happen even if a person's eyesight is perfect and their hand movements are fine. So this means that someone might be able to see clearly and move their hands well, but when they need to do tasks that require both skills at the same time, like catching a ball or typing, they may struggle. So these difficulties can lead to frustration and affect activities, their everyday activities. So therefore, even with good vision and motor skills, it's important for some people to work improving how they connect what they see with how they move their hands. So next is any alteration to the visual or motor systems can significantly affect hand-eye coordination, such as strabismus, amblyopia, muscle hypotonia, balance problems, or cross-laterality. So, problems with balance or being unsure about which side is left or right can also play a role. So, additionally, if there is damage to specific parts of our brain responsible for the movement or perception, it can further disrupt how well our eyes and hands work together. So, overall, any change in vision or muscle control can make tasks that require hand-eye coordination more difficult. So, poor hand-eye coordination, it means here that a person struggles to coordinate what they see with how they move their hands. This can have a negative impact on many parts of life, like making it difficult to learn, play sports, write clearly, and even complete everyday tasks. So, there are different reasons why someone might have a poor hand-eye coordination, but two main conditions that can contribute to this issue are developmental disorder and certain learning disorders. So this condition can make it harder for individuals to develop the skills needed for good coordination. So first is the vision impairment. So when we say vision impairment, it refers to a coordination where a person cannot see clearly, which makes it challenging to carry out everyday activities. So this loss of sight can range from slight blurriness to complete blindness depending on how much visual acuity is affected. So for those with visual impairment, regular tasks like reading, driving, or even recognizing faces may become difficult or impossible without special tools or adaptations such as glasses or magnifiers. Essentially, vision impairment creates barriers in daily life due to reduced ability to see things clearly. So, second is the movement disorders. So, movement disorders, these are the conditions that affect how the body moves. These disorders can be caused by different issues in the brain or nervous system. So, example here is the ataxia, leads to unsteady movements and difficult coordinating actions like reaching for an object. Reaching for an object. Another example of this is hypertonia, which means that muscles are too tight, making it hard to move or stretch them properly. So overall, these disorders make it challenging for people to perform everyday tasks smoothly and comfortably. So this can take between birth and 3 years. So be, between birth and 3 years of age, infants can accomplish the following skills and um, can start to develop visions that allows them to follow slowly moving objects with their eyes, begin to develop basic hand-eye skills such as reaching, grasping objects, feeding, and dressing. So in this early age, no, um, infants start to develop vision, allowing them to track slow moving objects with their eyes. They also begin here to improve hand eye coordination, which helps them reach for, grasp, and feed themselves as well as get dressed. So, infants here start to understand the basic concepts of direction like up and down, and they develop fine motor skills that enable them to manipulate small objects effectively. So, these skills are crucial for their overall growth and independence. So, next is between 3 and 5 years old. So, between the ages of 3 and 5, children here can enhance their hand-eye coordination and start to favor using their left or right hand. So, they also learn to grasp concepts related to the position, um, direction like understanding up, down, under, and beside mean. Additionally, they also improve their physical skills, allowing them to climb, balance, run, gallop, jump, and navigate stairs while taking one step at a time. So these development are very crucial for their overall motor skills and spatial awareness. So, thank you for listening, and I hope you learn from my report.